I am Rob Stark. Before I get too far into my set, I'd like to let you all know that my stand-up comedy is a little bit like my sex life. You're going to realize it's probably not my first time, but I shouldn't do this professionally. There are going to be some awkward pauses involved, and it's probably going to end in laughter. Now, when I first started doing stand-up, a lot of people asked, is that your real name? Is Rod Stark your real name? Yeah, for one, open micers usually don't come up with stage names, and if they do, they're a little desperate. But when I was raised in the 80s and 90s, the dark times in nerd culture, as you will. There was no Robert Downey Jr. to make the Stark name cool, save the day of the Avengers. In fact, Iron Man was one of the lowest ranking Marvel characters back then. But nowadays, as we know, he helped save the world from Thanos. Being a Stark's cool. The Stark family, House Stark, lets you know when winter's coming. It's good times to be a Stark. But the name Rob Stark actually came from my parents, if you will. I'm a junior. It's kind of rough being a junior, especially when you don't have anything in common with your dad. My dad's about a 5'8", ball of rage, redhead. If you know any redheads, you know about that redhead rage, getting raised by him. He was a good dad, but he definitely had some anger issues, if you will. But I was blessed with a pretty solid name. When I was younger, I decided, with a name like Rob Stark, I should probably go into politics or be a cult leader. Either way, my tagline would be, "You're light in the dark, Rob Stark." But with politics nowadays, it's getting kind of crazy. It's not like the good old days. Now we got, as you know, the far right. We've got Trump there. Any Trump fans in the house? No, right there. Growing up, I would have thought I would have been a huge Trump fan. You think this guy that's a billionaire that bangs porn stars and talks about grabbing pussy all day, but really not my style. And some would even say he's the worst president ever. Others would say the left is the worst. Joe Biden, come on. But Bidenomics is going to save us all. But it's really simple if you really want to know who the worst president ever was. It was Truman. I don't know if you guys saw Oppenheimer this weekend. A lovely movie about the atomic bomb. And the little big man syndrome president that we had that erupted on Japan. I know I'm keeping it really on point and timely manner for my jokes, but definitely not. Politics just wasn't for me nowadays. So I decided, I'll go with a more rational thing. I'll become a cult leader. Now, say what you will about cult leaders, but they are charismatic speakers. I mean, you've got to be really persuasive to convince everybody around that you're going to fuck their wives. And if you know anything about cults and you've seen some of these guys, there's some real Quasimodo looking motherfuckers. So if you can look like that and still bang everybody's wife and have them follow you, you gotta be doing something right. You know what I mean? But as I'm getting a little bit older, that kind of thing, fucking everybody's wife really doesn't appeal to me quite like it used to back in the day. Even threesomes aren't what they used to be. I'd much rather, just stick on the one-on-one situations. In fact, even Netflix and chill, I'd rather stick with more of the Netflix than the chill nowadays. And I've settled down at my age. And speaking of, technology and as we get older, stand-up comedy is a lot like OnlyFans. You might be asking, how is stand-up comedy like OnlyFans? You're always surprised when somebody you know does it. Damn, I didn't know they had that shower drum. When you tell other people people that you've done stand-up comedy, they always think they can do it, but those are never the people you want to watch do it. And 5 minutes seems way longer than any other time in your life. When I told my mom I was doing stand-up comedy, she's like, "You're not going to be any good at that." I said, "Mom, when I was growing up, when we always watched stand-up, you always said, you have to be ugly to be funny. You always called me ugly as a kid." And she said, "You were ugly, but you're not funny ugly." And then after she came and saw my first set, she said, "You know what? You are kind of funny. I think you must get that from me." And growing up with my parents, some would call it traumatic childhood, but it wasn't too bad. They were always partiers when I was younger, but as I got a little bit older, they did what a lot of parents in the 80s and 90s did. They took their drug use underground, kind of from the kids, but I can always remember as a small child going in the basement and going in the back and seeing my dad's grow operation. And he always said that they were just plants and flowers. And then as I got a little bit older, I joined the Pride team, which was a drug education group where we sang and danced in school. So my mom figured that I wasn't into drugs or I was against them. When we found a tin of marijuana in the house, she blamed it on my little brother, and I believed her completely. She screamed and yelled at him, convinced me that it wasn't her. It took 2 decades for her to finally admit that she had hid that weed from us. And the way I found out was actually kind of funny. We were at a family, or just after a family party, I was hanging out with one of my brother's friends, and he insisted that he had been in a circle with my mom smoking weed. So I grabbed him by the throat, and I'm like, "Motherfucker, don't you ever talk about my mother that way." I get home and I'm telling her about it, and she says, "It happened." I said, "What happened?" "I was smoking weed." "I didn't know that was your brother's friend, but it was a family event, and whenever you're not there, we smoke weed." I said, "Mom, are you serious? You've been smoking weed this whole time?" She said, "Yeah," and then she confessed everything, and she said, "I just didn't want you to be disappointed in me." And I said, we're going to really have to have a talk to dry you out. And then all you guys went ahead and voted to legalize marijuana, so thanks for that. And just like my sex life, when you guys start to get into it, I'm finished. Thanks.